So, hello everyone. Here you can hear me and online. Perfect, super, thank you. So, I'm Fabien Benetou. I do WebXR prototyping. That means virtual and augmented reality on the web mostly. I mostly do it for the European Parliament and for knowledge management because I want to have more ideas. And one simple way I manage is to write them down. But I feel this tiny screen, those 2 millimeters of plastic, is one of the worst way to do it. So yeah, I started to do other things. So those are my slides. So that you will not see them. I will need to share.
Just click, I believe.
I'll do all the buttons for you. Boom. Sorry. Boom. And then we'll do the presenter mode here.
Yeah.
Speaker. And I got to pin you, right?
Pin.
There we go. And get rid of everyone else in the world.
Okay, so is it readable? It's not. It's flipped.
It's flipped.
For crying out loud. We'll just have to flip it on our heads.
Can you do that? I mean, okay.
It's not flipped for both, but yeah.
How do we flip it?
Is there a setting?
Yeah, if you.
Oh, under
I believe in
camera,
the
maybe.
video, yeah, in the video you can try to do that.
Fabien using a Mac. That in itself is a performance piece.
Yes.
So go video settings. That's really
I'm the
funny.
one who managed to share the files earlier, so.
Which?
My video.
Yeah.
That should be it. Show us again. Test.
Yes.
It's not my video though.
Well, I'll also talk, and I'm working on my handwriting, among other things.
Cursor left.
Actually,
Cursor left. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
new technology, not that easy. Okay, so yes, last year for the future of text, I also made a short presentation, not 5 minutes, but a bit longer, on interfaces, because I think basically everything around us is an interface. We mentioned briefly affordances, but affordances toward information, digitally, or just the handle of a door, basically. And you have API, how you're going to manipulate information in software. So basically, my conclusion was everything is an interface, which I think is true. The question then is it actually useful to say it? To say, for example, that text is an interface, that having a discussion is an interface to a concept. And as I mentioned briefly, my life, my professional life, but personal life is being a prototypist. So I want to build stuff. And so I have to be a bit more pragmatic. What is an interface? Do I need to build an interface? Do I need to build with an interface? And we discussed just over lunch about Lego. Lego being an interface to a physical world, to being able to build an actual thing for games or more. And I also noticed that what makes me happier is not just to talk about things. It does help, but intellectual masturbation can only bring you so far. At some point, you need to make something. So I noticed that what makes me happier is, yes, do discover something new, but then build something out of it, and something that has an impact on my life or the life of people around me. So basically, also as, yeah, not just theoretical fact, but build the thing. So next slide. One of the very simple things I built recently, to give a more practical example, a lot of you, I guess, are familiar with the screen time, how you're going to limit your own behavior. Like, oh, I spend too much time on whatever platform. I want to spend less time on it. So that works on my phone, but I spend a lot of time on this, on the laptop, on a device like this. So I made my own equivalent, let's say, of screen time, where if I spend too long, let's say, chatting with some people on a certain platform, it redirects me to a better alternative. So basically, well, yeah, whatever I find better, actually, whatever when I'm at maybe not peak of my capacity of wisdom, but something that I'll find better, which is basically just rerouting, but I'm in a way editing my behavior. I make an edit of who I should be. I do it through text, through code, because yeah, that's what I do. I do it also tangibly because I started rollerblading 6 months ago, more or less, and I somehow broke them, but I have a 3D printer at home, so I edited my movement through modification of code to generate a 3D model. So I'm basically editing again, and it makes me happier by controlling my behavior, my movement. So basically I thought, well, editing seems to be a big deal. So next slide, which basically a bit like last year, something for everything. I want an edit button for everything. Literally, that's the whole idea. I want an edit button, of course, for whatever is on my computer, on my phone, whatever computer actually might be. So including also, if you can hand me your headset there, please. It's a lot. So I made an edit button during lunch. So it's still not a great one, but it is there. So I have my edit button. And I think it's actually feasible. It sounds, I guess, like a silly theoretical idea to have an edit button for everything. But I think we're an interesting intersection where we're running Linux a bit everywhere. We have browsers that are open source. We have open source hardware. I have my backpack somewhere. I'll show you after, but I have some like augmented reality lenses to clip on glasses. It's all open source. So we have the software and the hardware stack. I was mentioning 3D printing, so digital manufacturing. So I think this and identifier like DOI, ISBN, URLs also that were mentioned before, make all this actually feasible. I think if I say I want to edit that table, and I have the model of that table, and I did a workshop on soldering a couple of months ago, then I can do it. If I want something with this, another tool, and I know how it behaves because there are resources online for this, then I can also edit it. Is it combining them? Is this combining the three of them? I have absolutely no idea. But I think the idea of it and actually making it is feasible. One little thing also is, that's why I mentioned or showed the headset before, is it has to be done right here, right now. It doesn't have to be done through this laptop for that thing, It's like if you have a device, you need to edit not the content of it, of course, the content you have watching in it, but the device itself, and you did through that device. So I call it responsive programming, not responsive design, but you change the device through the device itself. So yeah, digital, non-digital, being able to inspect different layers from, let's say, physics, chemistry, whatever you want. With headset, no headset, you can edit the edit button itself. You can have an edit button on yourself, because maybe that's also in terms of agency and what brings you happiness, one of the biggest impacts. And you could do it socially. For example, if I edit this table and I put metadata online on how to do it, others can benefit too. It's not like a individual behavior. It's something that can be shared. And as a call to action, I actually have, it's a beta version, but I have a couple of such edit buttons that I'm going to put on this table, and I'm going to hand to people in the audience. They're not good. They don't do actually anything right now because it's a couple of days old idea. But I think the prospect of being able to edit literally anything and actually do it, like implementing what's behind the button, is a worthwhile and exciting endeavor. Thank you.
You're in the question chair.
So I need to ask, right? Okay.
Yes. Leave.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing.
That's what I'm here. It's very interesting that like this reminded me this. There's a new trend in like I'm all into rich text editing, especially in the browser, and there's a new trend called programmable media, which is exactly like generating like the same things that you're seeing or you're editing are capable of editing the whole system, or you can add variables in that system that you can reuse in other places and create more complex scenarios, right? And this reminds me a lot, like the fact that you can have one building block that can be as complex as you want and create more elaborate solutions. So it's kind of interesting idea. Very cool idea.
Thank you. A little, if I jump on the back of this, is the system, like this is a system also, or this place is a system also. So we tend to, especially as a developer, just think about the digital and software behind it. But I really think, again, like it's a silly example, but the fix for my rollerblades, yeah, that just work, and it's a physical thing. All the workshops we can do about, I don't know, menuiserie or woodworking or this kind of things. Like it's let's not stuck it behind a screen in a digital way. It's the intersection of both. I think that's the most impactful.
Do you have any other examples of things that themselves?
So,
Could you repeat the question, please?
yes, do I have other examples of things that edit themselves? So one of the thing I'm working on now on VR, I call it like a self-editing system, but I think that's a tricky shortcut, because then we start to think it's a magical solution. It's more, yeah, it's literally, I want to label or stick. I did not have the time for today, that's why I have this. But I want to stick an edit button on literally everything, so that I get the habit of, it's not I'm here to consume or use. I can, of course, if I want to, use that table as is, but just like a step, it's version 1 or version whatever, but it's just a version among others. So they don't necessarily edit themselves as much as we must take the habit of saying, okay, this is the current version. I can more easily now access ways to see how it's done, see I can change it, learn if I don't know yet how to change it, and I don't know, polish it or whatnot. Yeah, it's more building the interface and the habit of allowing ourselves and having been confident enough that we can edit. In terms of actual implementation, like I said, because the idea a couple of days old, I don't have, let's say, a repository and the things that I'm getting a bit naive, but I guess that's the easy part.
That's your job as partly to be naive. That's the whole benefit, right? So when talking about examples, just, we're both interested in children growing up and how they see the world. It could be interesting to just make some stickers, just like you did,
Right,
and put it on notebooks. And a notebook says this notebook is editable.
Yes, yeah. No, so this sounds a little bit silly, or it seems a bit silly, but it exists. So my job is being a prototypist is to make prototypes. So that's, I would say it's not a terrible prototype, again, because it exists. I can literally put it there, and the function, let's say, has begun. It's far from enough, let's say, but there, the button to edit anything is here.
But that's what's so important. We're talking about dreaming in this community, and you dream in a very specific way. You dream beyond just writing down your idea, by tearing a piece of paper and writing something on it. That is a substantiating of that thought. I think that's very, very provocative. Oh, sorry. What?
Oh, in the chat.
Oh, other person question.
Ooh. So I'm going to read it, I guess. You prefer I read it aloud, or you prefer to read it on the screen? Okay. So,
Summarize, I guess.
well, but I need to read it first. So, just we did that presentation with a placeholder about how this naive ID feasibility. Yeah, okay. It's not good if I read it too fast. It doesn't help.
Can you make sure that laptop has power?
Yeah. So yes. No, it's I don't know. I don't want to dig into mereology now, but yeah, what's the thing? When you put an edit button on a thing, what is that thing that you can going to edit? Is it the table itself? Is it, I don't know, the process that led to that table that you're going to edit? Are you going to edit, let's say, just the glass or whatnot? As I think being able to define, or that's why I mentioned also briefly layers in the presentation. Are you going to work at the physics level, the chemistry level, the social level, etc.? I think it's indeed that interconnection of the different layers that make it complex, but also beautiful, because then you can compose, then you can have a lot of different ways to do it. Too late.
Yeah, I think if we're dealing with media that is intrinsically abundant, then there's no issue with anybody going in and making their edits and having their version that is personal to them.
Mhm.
But as soon as we move into scarce objects, which is anything in the physical world and many things that are shared in the virtual world as well, then this idea of anybody being able to edit becomes instantly a very political,
Yes.
political issue. Who is allowed to edit?
Yeah,
What are the
yeah.
permissions? How do you grant those permissions?
Yeah.
If there are multiple versions of a thing, how do we understand which version you're seeing and which version I'm seeing? I'm very curious in terms of like how far you've run this thought experiment and if you've run up against any issues like that.
So again, very fresh. So I did not go in depth there, but it's okay. It's going to sound a little bit pompous, so grandiose, but the point is to be revolutionary. The point is to say I can just be a consumer, but at least individually, personally, that doesn't make me sufficiently happy. When I have agency against a thing and I just admit that I don't necessarily know how to change it, even less improve it, but if I can dare try, that will be an interesting process. But it is revolutionary. It's a kind of, let's say, challenge of power to say, oh, I can't edit it. How it's going to not just between objects, but between people. Maybe you love this table the way just like that, just the way it is. So that's for us together to figure out. So, but that's yeah.
When
That's
to shareability and depth, there's also mathematics. So I'm really bad at maths. Sorry, Dave. Oh, you're there. Really bad, right? Trying to teach my son a few fractions and things I want in his head. But the reason I'm saying it is when I'm now trying to learn a bit of mathematics from the real brilliant people, they all keep saying mathematics is experimenting. There isn't things there. You have to make postulates. So mathematics itself is editable.
yes.
Right. So in school, we are taught this plus blah, blah, that stuff. To have the mindset you're talking about, to take ownership of editability, creativity, and involvement is crucial. I mean, yeah, thank you.
One of the quick thing I did not, did I draw it? I don't think so. But you have a USB stick with a Lego.
Whose was that again?
Who has a Lego USB stick? So there is a Lego USB stick. It's tiny, so you won't see it. But what I love about it is that you have the Lego affordance, the interface to build more on it. Whereas if I take a normal USB stick, let's say it's going to be a flat surface. So that's it. It's as it is. Now that you have those things to clip on, you have an interface to build more. And I think we used to have flat things. And I think if we could still have the flat thing, but you can remove this to clip on, let's say it's a metaphor for everything, being math or something else. Yeah.
Thank you.
Questions in the chat.
Yeah, if you can summarize them, because you're out of time, I'm afraid.
Yes, there are. So there were in graffiti and so I have my own wiki. I have a network of wikis actually. So that yeah, there is a history of edits literally behind this. There are a lot of different examples. Graffiti also being quite in your face, I guess, obvious about it. But I think it has. It's not just revolutionary to be revolutionary or challenging literal structures in places. Yeah, try to collaboratively, individually build something better. But yeah, it's not editing itself is not new. But I think an actual button. That's I'm going to fight for it and implement it a bit. And just do a little bit. I can't help myself. But let's say tech or geeky promotions. If you think about, because we mentioned trendy topics at the beginning, editing the headset itself, but the headset, especially if you think about augmented reality, you look at the real world through the headset, and then if you display a button toward or on top of objects, and you have the headset to learn how the object functions, it becomes quite interesting because you can bootstrap the learning process to modify it a lot more than just a thing with a button on it, because it's a dynamic system. Like you can simulate how the object is going to behave, not just look at it as, I don't know, a 3D model or something static. But I think this also, to do a little bit promotion for XR, is going to, it's not coincidental.
Oh, yeah, okay, we have to sit here. Sorry, even if it's quick. Sorry, guys.
So thank you very much. Really interesting. I have one question. I was a bit. I got all kinds of ideas from you. Like suddenly, Lego is a. I'm now seeing it as an editable system, basically, and perhaps when you were using the paper, like the pen and the paper is also a sort of edit button. Then also, like, I started to think about this, I don't know what it was called, the right to repair or something. Can you also, like, is there any connection with your thinking in relationship to this right to repair?
Yes.
And where could you maybe tell something more about that?
So we can piggyback on right to repair for right to edit. The right to repair is also like, this is my hardware. It's not a lease from I don't know, a big company or something like this. It's something that I don't have to look at statically, but I can fix it. But I think the fixing it is still like a first step toward more, not accepting that the design is finite, this is done, this is finished, it's finished, and for now that's the version that's been shipped, but I don't have to accept it as is. And I think indeed the right to repair and what we get hopefully more and more, like in France, for example, where you have to sell the device, but you will have to sell it with the interface to repair it, so the right set of tools, physical tools, then I think it's definitely going in the right direction. It's not enough, but and just, I don't know if you can see it on the screen now, the edit button has an edit button. So it's, again, it's not perfect, it's not finite, but
On that note, thank you very much, Fabien. Next is Sam. Sorry, yeah. No, we will do you.
No. I emailed it to you, so I'm not sure if it's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, let me.
Do you want to just steer and I'll.
Sorry, everyone. I just have to check my emails. You know how it is.
The one that it's sitting here needs to ask the first question all the time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
The comments are playing.
such a monster. Okay, let's reduce this as well a bit. I think we're ready for Sam now. Please take over.